Today's topic is the future of energy is in technology, and it's really appropriate that we have this discussion right here in the heart of Silicon Valley. Now, the Woods Institute is hoping to embrace the same spirit that inspired Stanford's role in the development of Silicon Valley, and what Woods is trying to do is pioneer innovative approaches to meet the environmental challenges of the 21st century. Most importantly, Woods is a neutral convener. We bring together people who represent all points of view. And today's panel, I think, is a great example, representing leaders from industry, venture capital, government, academia, and journalism.
Okay, quite frankly, conserving energy to me means that when I get on the treadmill, I walk instead of run. And the only time I really think of going green and it becomes an urgent issue for me is when I pull up to the Chevron station and $4 a gallon flies out of my wallet. Thank you very much. So here's my question to the panel. What is coming up in the future that will allow me to run my air conditioner as long as I want, drive my car as fast and as far as I want, without feeling guilty or going broke?
The really big challenge here, think about the problem of climate change, which is going to require, at least for this country, a reduction in emissions of maybe 80%. The leverage there is going to come partly from behavioral change and partly from being more efficient in the way we use energy, but I think mainly by removing carbon from the energy system completely. The way you're going to be able to sit in sweats or a double set of sweats all day long and have the AC on high is going to be by using fundamentally electricity that comes from zero or extremely low carbon sources. But I think when you think about this, and especially here in Silicon Valley, there's a danger that we are, to paraphrase, kind of irrationally exuberant. I am concerned that our discussions here in Silicon Valley apply to the energy sector IT time. We're used to thinking about building companies, YouTube, benefactors of this building. Here's an idea, some software and some hardware and some really important marketing. In a few years, you've got a multi-billion-dollar company. And in the energy business, the timescales are just really different. Radical change in the energy business comes over longer time horizons, and I think we may not be fully prepared for that.
I want to go back to what would I want the new president to say. Mm-hmm. And this is not original with me. This was in a Tom Friedman column yesterday, I think, which is, don't lie to the people. Tell the public the truth about energy costs, mm-hmm. that they're high, they're going to stay high, there's a reason they're high. It's not bad that they're high. And, in fact, figure out, let's start working with what we have in this world. And that gets really to the point of, is that all bad news? Is that all negative news? I think what we need to look at it as is a platform for making changes and making changes in our economy. I think that we have certain things we need as bridges. We're not going to, it's absolutely correct. We're not going to be able to move off of fossil fuels tomorrow. But if we think as a society that we should be putting a tax on carbon and starting to change how we do things, let's be honest and get out there and talk about how we can do that. Not so much the fact that if you hold your breath, it will go away. It's not going to.
The government has not stepped up in a funding perspective to the size of the problem. If you look at both healthcare and the energy industry, they're, I think, both about 15% of GDP. The NIH spends, I have the number here somewhere, about $28 billion in research a year. The budget last year for renewables was less than $2 billion. Exxon makes about $1 billion a day. This is a $6 trillion market. I mean, private early-stage venture capital is spending more than our government is at this point in time, and that's a big problem.
Wow. Can we solve a global problem in the United States, let alone California only? There are questions that harken back to what the patchwork solution to clean fuels is today, and all those well-intended state by state and even region by region initiatives that have really hampered now gasoline distribution in this country, and have increased the cost, particularly in times of short supply. So I think taking a measured, slow response back to this comment about what should the successful candidate do in the first 100 days, probably not a lot.
I think first we really heard that the issue of energy is not unidimensional. It is about the environment. It is about international security. It is about the economy. And if we think about it being only one or the other, we're missing the point. Similarly, what we heard is that energy policy and energy solutions aren't all just technology. We need to be very cognizant of the behavioral dimensions and start getting those right. We need to start getting policy much better than we have now, and we have to educate at least 2 presidential candidates. I assume by November they'll only be down to 2. I can't be sure of that. And so it's a multidimensional set of solutions that we have to be dealing with.